Here we go. Rossa, Prada, Pirelli, Emirates Team New Zealand. It'll be Rossa with port entry for race 2 of the match. And dark clouds hanging out over the back paddock. Let's get out onto the water. Shirley Robertson, our double Olympic gold medalist in Chase Boat 1. Shirley, do you feel any rain? You know how you can sense rain?
It does look a little bit menacing, doesn't it? I mean, remember, we're into autumn now here in New Zealand, so there's plenty of weather. Also, the North Island's really thin island and lots of weather coming off the ocean. There is lots of cloud on the left-hand side. It is coming our way, but it's not really changed the direction. We have a little bit more wind, actually, maybe 14 knots. Both boats have gone for a smaller jib. They look to match probably the J3. It's going to be a good contest. The breeze blowing through that gap down the island and down between the islands, and it looks like a great racetrack.
Thank you, Shirley. Let's head up into the sky and Heli 1 with former Ineos flight controller Lee McMillan. What can you tell us about what's happening with the course right now, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, like Shirley just said, it does look like the breeze has pepped up a little bit. Maybe shifted a tiny bit to the left. It looks like the windward marks are just kind of narrowed in right underneath the island there. So it could be a bit shiftier at the top, maybe a little bit gustier and shifty down the race course. So, you know, there could be some opportunities for some kind of place changing in this race with those kind of difficult conditions. So it could be super interesting.
Thank you, Lee. Looking forward to your insights as we take a look at the race course and to the left-hand side as well. The spectator fleet, and there'll be one man that'll be satisfied right now. That is Grant Dalton, the big boss of Emirates Team New Zealand. He's been basically running this regatta. He's got so much going through his mind, but he'll be quietly satisfied with the result of Emirates Team New Zealand getting the first race. He'd be happier, I'm sure, Kenny, if they get another one to bag and take a 2-0 lead going into Friday's racing. But it's going to be interesting. Wind gets up a little bit. Do we now potentially hear more about the speed of Te Hutai?
Well, I think the interesting part in between those races is both boats talked about wind shifts. And, you know, we kind of lose sight of the fact we're watching these things rip around the race course at boat speeds that have never been seen before in racing and sailing. And we forget there's wind, there's shifts, and both teams talked about how they could have done a better job at the wind shift. So, like Lee was saying, maybe that's our chance at passes if we start seeing big shifts on the race course, especially Nathan, with these black clouds coming in from either side. We could see some real shifty conditions.
Yeah, and for sure, with the wind shifts and the wind speed going up and down a lot, the fact that these boats go so fast, all it takes is 2-knot increase in wind speed and the boats can go 4 or 5 knots faster, or a 5-degree left-hand shift and you put the bow down and you're ripping and you're doing a much better VMG. And you heard Peter Burling say we're a bit out of phase on that second beat. You know, we sailed the headers, we sailed more distance. Rossa gained a few times. We probably should have hit him. We should have got in phase, and I think reading that means that he thought they should have won by further.
You might want to explain physically hit.
No, tacking on top of them. Basically, you know what I mean, but I know what you're trying to get at. Getting in phase with the other boat, going the same direction as them, not giving him any leverage to get advantage of any shifts. If you're in front, you just want to stay close to the other boat, particularly if you're going quite fast. If you're behind, you want to split and make some gains that way. So if it's shifty out there, might be a few more tacks this race and less boundary-to-boundary sailing.
Counting down to race number 2 of the match in the 36th America's Cup. The defender already has a 1-0 lead. First to 7 wins the cup. So confirmation that we are a live go from the race committee on the back paddock. Course in 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Counting Kenny, one thing we didn't really see too much in the first pre-start was much engagement.
No, I think there was more maybe for sailors. There was actually quite a bit of engagement. There was a little dog and pony show there, a little push, a little chase, and then that last timing, it's how far you gap off. The boat to weather, which was Emirates Team New Zealand, the boat on the right-hand side, really had to time that well to kind of have a slingshot, Nathan. They put the bow down and had that boat like 4 or 5 knots faster. So that was, to me, that was very impressive. Hard to do with a boat tucked under on your left-hand side so closely.
Yeah, very hard to do when you're pushing another boat, to rely on your software and to rely on your judgment to get your time on distance. You can see this time round they're going to be entering from opposite sides, so it'll be Rossa, Prada, Pirelli who are going to be making that decision of when to turn back, and Peter this time
He's going to drop the board now. You tell him you want, Ticker.
Situation. The last time round he just picked his timing, it was kind of easy for him. This time round it's probably an easier start for Rossa.
Jimmy Spithill understands who's running the engine control of this race start.
So surely if you're Jimmy Spithill, it's just more of the same, right? You just got to shake that one off and go do it. Got you here, and he doesn't have the nickname Pitbull for nothing.
Yeah, although, you know, when I spoke to Ray Davis, the coach for the Kiwis, he felt Jimmy Spithill was pretty predictable, good at what he does, but predictable. So maybe he has to shake it up a little, do something
Coming
a little
across
bit
the bow
different.
now. They're on one board.
Round up.
Emirates Team New Zealand fighting in the start of race 2 of the match. So, how do they engage? Do they engage? Who's in control? Watch and listen.
Coming down up and 6. 1. Here.
9 is bad at the moment.
Okay, so dropping a little here.
Very similar setup, Nathan, to that first start. It's kind of a chase from the boat behind.
Around
Coming on starboard tack, the Kiwis put themselves in kind of a chase position, a push position.
No, we should do.
Down.
45 on the
It's windier, so they get to that boundary.
Okay, he's driving. Oh, he's heading downwind towards the boundary.
Push out, boys.
Rossa and
He's
New
coasting down
Zealand
the
going
boundary.
high and tackling. They're going to push from above. They don't really want to engage too
A lot
much.
of vertical separation.
Boundaries,
We're
really,
just
pushing from
holding it
above
for
is
6.
typically easier. You can push boats down the line much more effectively. But they sure don't seem to be wanting to get back real quick, do they?
Yep. Keep going, Lee.
A
Push
little bit
of a lefty face.
for the lead,
We're taking off.
Both boats high in slow mode. Really interesting. We haven't seen anything like this in quite a while. Let's see if the Kiwis can actually try to push over the bow and
Looks like
try
he's
to
going to re-roll at the moment.
the left-hand side.
Okay, going speed. No, he's going behind.
Going behind. Jimmy Spithill
They're ready.
just called it
Two
for us.
boards.
Got your board, Joshy? Yeah.
No.
4 on the pen piece.
Okay, bearing away here a little.
30 seconds to start of race number 2 in the match.
Racing. Almost racing.
Up hard.
Just get ready for their race.
Boards up.
Team New Zealand might be a little bit
on the
late
bridge.
for the
Racing line, man.
Back.
All the way, go.
Check out your boys. No, it's just... Back, sorry.
There's going to be a tack. I think we tack with him.
1. Board's coming down.
2.
And we're a go.
1. Board
Race
down.
number 2 of the match.
Done.
Emirates Team New Zealand split.
Jimmy Spithill called that. Let's match right away. So he's raced
Yes,
from
I know.
match
Yeah,
into
yes,
match
copy.
race
Yes.
mode. Very different from what we saw in race number 1 when the Kiwis got ahead. But here's our chance, Shirley. Here's our chance to see what kind of pace the Italians really have.
Good time. Yeah,
Just
sure.
the start that the Italians needed,
Yes.
and
You
we
call
can
it
expect
as
a
well.
real fight here. We think the Italians are a little bit more maneuverable, they're faster through their tags.
You focus on
Jimmy
the faults,
Spithill and
I can see.
Pretty will use
Copy that.
that advantage throughout this race.
Okay, looks like he's setting up potentially.
Yeah.
2. 1. Board coming down. No, it's just...
Board down.
Yours. Lenny, Hunter, you're good people on.
Hey, my rudder.
straight away. Rossa practically tack on them, and they're keeping them on the short side of the boundary. This has all been set up by a bad start from Emirates Team New Zealand. Bad time on distance, hand at the start to Luna Rossa, and now it's all about can Team New Zealand find a way around them, or is Luna Rossa going to be able to keep them behind?
Slightly let off the hook though here, Nathan. They had a chance to force them to tack right back into that boundary, and they looked like they tacked a little early on Luna Rossa and actually gave the Kiwis a little breathing space here.
What will be interesting is, does this lead slowly higher? You know, they'll be both selling a higher slow, but look at the boat speeds. They're down at 35
little press here.
Last race, I'm pretty sure they were much closer to 40 knots. So it's
Going a little
an
high
inching
mode.
battle right now. If you're a sailor, you're trying to squeeze the boat on your hip off.
Okay, that's That's enough.
And,
Now we rebuild.
Right now, New Zealand are doing a great job.
Just above us.
Very impressive, actually. This is,
right here.
as all sailors know, being in that position that the Kiwis are in right now is really hard.
Now we go back to normal again.
Yeah, pressure coming here.
Steady by. 3, 2, 1.
Here he goes. Volta. 2, 1. Put down.
Very well done by the Kiwis. They hung in there and they allowed the racetrack to open back up again. They didn't get forced to the short side of the track or the high side of the screen. They allowed the race course to open back up and give themselves options.
So now's their moment. If they've got the boat speed, this is where they put the foot down and try and go forward and gain a bit of leverage and come back on starboard.
Lee, pretty even racetrack out there right now.
Yeah, coming, really cranking it. Struggling to get a view of the boats at the moment, but yeah, the
Good pressure on
Kiwis
our
did a great
windward
job
on
of
the
just
front,
scoping off Prada
the right
as they
lane line.
got a nice little lane to windward and
looks
then
like
kind
he's
of
gonna
hung
go
in there
on
and
into-
started getting the boat speed going really nicely towards the end of that
Yeah, I
lane.
think it's the tank we tank.
Really interesting race
Yeah,
happening here.
he's setting. He's tacking now.
2, 1,
Put down.
Yours still any?
Leg number 1.
He's just below the
I
bell.
bet they don't miss them this time, Nick.
And behind us.
They're going to get right on their bridge. Remember, the apparent wind is 10, 12, 14 degrees. It's almost tacking smack in front of your competitor, but you want to be slightly to windward. It kind of looks like they tacked a little early again.
Click early again. Looks like they're going to go about one more bit further, but look at the speeds now. Boat speeds are down to 30s there. They were 35 before, now they're 30s. This is
Okay, a little build now.
intense high load right now. Really trying to punish the boat behind. The longer Team New Zealand stay there, the further in front Luna Rossa are going to get.
A little further. 2,
But Team New Zealand
1.
happily
Put
seen
down.
their boat too.
What a great shot. Coming into the lay line here.
Port coming down.
So race number 2 of this match, the 36th America's Cup, and the roles are reversed. Heading to the top gate for the first time, and it's Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli, ahead of Emirates Team New Zealand as they come around the mark.
The Kiwis tacked a little early on this lay line right there, right into the bad air. So actually, kind of some unforced errors we've seen for the first time in a long time in this race so far. Boats are tight, close together, maybe a little bit of nerve, you just never know.
Emirates Team New Zealand come around gate number 1, 13 seconds behind Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli. And race number 1, they had a 14-second lead, but game on.
So now the real question is Emirates Team New Zealand
nice
a
buff
faster
here.
boat downwind?
So
They're
my
not going to
boys.
have any disturbed wind right now. They
Nice
may
left.
follow around the track. If they're a faster boat, they're going to
Hold
pull
down.
meters down this downwind.
Just some amazing shots from the water, from all of our camera angles, all over these boats, all the detail, all the statistics.
Port coming down.
You're a number guy, Steven. That's a dream come true for you.
I'm sitting in heaven right now watching this, but we're also seeing a rather large lead by Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli, the challenger.
On the moment.
Surely similar, kind of a similar race to the first one, just a bit of a flip-flop on who's ahead of who. But again, it was that start. It was a mistake off the starting line. Turns into a 250-meter lead in no time.
Yes, pressure here coming.
Tiny, well, the start wasn't a tiny mistake,
up for the
but
gate
also
there,
at
Gilla.
the top mark there. The Kiwis just tacking slightly
Putting up for the gate.
too early. As you said, tacked into that bad air. They also had to sail slow for a
Pressure
little
here,
bit, and
Jimmy.
that's,
Okay,
I mean,
we got
that's
one in
100
either way,
meters
and-
gone.
Yes,
Have a look
nice
around
lefty
there.
for
This
the
is
moment.
all about attention to detail. Incredible sailing.
What are you thinking, Coach? Just keep it tight? Yeah, I think we'll probably try and split it up there.
Yep.
A little lighter now, but the coming 5 again.
That feels good.
Still on the left here. Ecco, pressure here.
Nice puff here.
Stay same. Little gain for us in the last 30.
Yeah. We got right on it here. Just doing a little build here. It's going a little soft.
Yeah.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
And then they jibe right on the ley line. That red line there is the ley line. They'll have software on their boat telling them exactly where to jibe as well. So the plan coming in here will be a left-hand turn, I suspect, for Luna Rossa. And the real question is Emirates Team New Zealand going to follow them around the same mark?
I think we go straight.
I drive, yeah, easy.
The course?
Copy.
The good news here for sailing fans, maybe not if you're specifically an Italian fan or a
we
Kiwi
leave them
fan,
that
but for
maneuver,
sailing
I think.
fans, is
Yeah.
What do you
that
think, guys?
the rumors of 3 or 4 knot speed differences were greatly exaggerated. These are two really pretty similar boats in this wind range
Not much,
so
man.
far.
Otherwise, just normal.
Go normal.
Luna Rossa and Pirelli about to complete the second leg of this 6-leg race, race 2 of the match. Looking strong, looking confident as they
Boards.
round the
Very
mark.
good.
Board
In
coming up.
leg number 3. 13 seconds. And the
Nice
time
push.
Yeah.
Gunning up, ragazzi.
Prada. So they're coming up. Just left. Yeah.
at the bottom
So,
right. We picked up a second.
Fine, show me.
Great move there, Nathan, at the bottom, man. That was slick by the Kiwis. To
Fine.
split away the WFC. That is not an easy maneuver
Hey, forward,
at
guys.
all.
Forward.
That was very well executed. Got the split on the bottom mark and out of phase. I think I wouldn't surprise me if Luna Rossa there. They've already tagged to get back in phase, and when boats come back together, I'm expecting Luna Rossa are going to tag right in front of them and try and push them up the other down this time.
Let's go up to Lee McMillan. Hey, Lee, is that something that the Kiwis did just kind of because of match racing and wanting the split, or you think they saw something on the left-hand side of the track that they liked better?
I think they just wanted to get the split so they could split, their wings a little bit, get the boat flying, get it ripping, and try not get kind of caught in that high mode like they did in the first speed, and really try and put their upward performance to the test. So I think you'll see them just trying to kind of split off, get the boat really ripping, and see what it can do on this leg.
No problem.
Shirley, you think that positioning by the Italians on the first leg was slightly a mistake, or do you think they want to tack just head into lure like that and force the other boat into a high mode?
I think like Lee was saying, they just want to be on their own. I mean, they're confident, they're fast, particularly in that slightly low mode, when they can get the bow down and just get going. And so they just want to be on their own. They want to get ripping. And actually, they've sailed most of this speed, without the cover of the Italians.
I stay here.
So Kenny, I think this time they're actually a little bit further ahead, so they're able to go a little bit further to win. I think what happens is when you are within that 100-meter zone, if you just go a little bit too far and tack too far to win, you risk the boat behind coming and potentially hooking it. Now they've got a 250-meter lead. They're tacking in the correct spots. And Luna Rossa right now are really controlling the
They're now slowly setting the Kiwis up to start pushing them to the left side of the race course. They obviously like the right side, so they're slowly but surely setting the Kiwis up to push them out to the left-hand side of the track and kind of pin them in.
I'm not sure about you, but does this have shades of the Prada Cup final?
Keep pushing it left side.
Luna Rossa, Prada Cup control of the race.
Oh, question. I mean, like I just said earlier, this is not. These are pretty even boats right now. We're just looking at two even boats out in an even boat race and not making many mistakes. And the boat ahead's doing the right thing. If the boat ahead is fast and is doing the right thing, you ain't getting by. If you're behind, not a chance.
Yeah, you're spot on. One thing that I'm watching this tacking duel right now, and I know that they're a fair way apart, but Luna Rossa to me look like they're making small gains every time they tack. Whenever the boats sail in a straight line, the numbers get a little bit closer, and whenever they tack, they just grow a little bit again. And I feel like maybe there's a small advantage to Luna Rossa in the tacking. You just see this number actually, it's pretty much, there's nothing in it right now. So every time they move, I think that's when they're making their gains. So they're trying to make New Zealand do lots of tacks.
Let's hear what
I think we go ley line here, guys.
Yeah, copy. Easy pressure here.
boys.
Pietro Sabello is
2,
sitting actually to leeward right
1,
now.
more down.
Francesco Bruni driving the boat, talking about the guys. That must be pretty close to a ley line here coming to the top. Top mark the second time around. There you go. There's the red line. And pretty clean beat so far from those guys.
Phenomenal.
Coming down.
Gained 50 metres there while Team New Zealand started the dirty air. And Team New Zealand again attacking, which to me looks like in dirty air once again. Not really
Pressure coming 3.
not really finding any avenues right now. The boat behind.
Here. So we are in a very small left.
Luno Rossa, Prada Cup in control of race number 2 of the match. Out on the Hauraki Gulf.
You
And
start
they've
the turn.
stretched their lead on the defender Emirates Team New Zealand. 13 seconds at gate 1.
Clear.
12 at gate 2. What will be at gate number 3? It's hard to find out, but again, they sharp manoeuvre and away they go downwind.
49.8 knots going around that mark.
That's quick.
That's not bad.
Stand by.
Emirates Team New Zealand finally making it to the halfway stage of race number 2. And the gap is stretched
And away you go. There you go.
across the Pirelli. It's now out to 25 seconds.
51 knots for Emirates Team New
Hold
Zealand.
it for a second.
I looked away for a second. I knew you were going to call.
Almost down.
You got to one up. You got to one up.
It's an interesting sort of fact that there's not a whole lot of passing happening in these races. You know, if you compare what we've seen in these 2 races so far, but also Prada Cup final, semi-finals there. Once a boat gets in front, they generally pretty quickly shut the race down upwind, make a small gain and then downwind. We haven't seen a pass in the downwind since December when Emirates Team New Zealand passed Ineos. But that's the only race I've seen a boat actually pass another boat downwind.
I see pressure in front.
It's pretty typical of these foiling boats that go so quick. All your setup downwind is to get a speed so that you can attack on the upwind. So right now I'm thinking Emirates Team New Zealand, all they can really do is
Wrong here.
set themselves up to get out of phase again on the upwind and try and attack once again on the last upwind.
Surely not a lot of space to pass right now for the Kiwis, is there?
But keep going here.
No, the Italians are doing a good job. You know, this morning, Philip Cresti, who's the coach for the Italian outfit, he said in the morning meeting, you know, today is a day for assessment.
I think we got all the
So not to panic, to go out and learn about our opposition. And they've learned a lot, haven't they? Get a good start.
3, 2, 1.
It's going to be a big match. I mean, great sailing by both these teams. And as Nathan said, not a lot of passing opportunities, not a lot of mistakes by either team.
Yeah, Rossi.
Stephen, you can hear the relief and the people
Bravo.
breathing
Yep.
from all over
Yeah.
Italy as we speak. This is a really good sign for the Italians.
Oh, we are in the lead
Down to a
left.
sailors rate. By the way, this
Any
is
left
this is
and we
good
can
for us.
lay, I think.
This
Yeah,
means these
I think at the
boats are
moment we
pretty
just go
darn
straight in,
close,
boys.
and the sailors are going to make a difference here.
So everybody that suggested,
Wait more for the...
everybody that suggested that Terehotai was a quicker boat might just be eating their
Generally,
words right now.
pressure
Because
is
look at
right,
that lead
Softer on
on
this
leg
side.
4 of 6.
so it
It's
might be
stretched out to
Jack either.
430 some meters. And it's Luno Rossa Prada Pirelli, the official challenger of record, leading Emirates Team New Zealand,
Look
who
like our
are
Monday, didn't it?
1 match
Okay,
up.
boys, about 5 to the board
One
down.
race
to
up.
board down,
One
obviously.
just jog.
Luno Rossa
Two,
Prada
one, board
Pirelli
down.
about to complete the 4th leg.
Here we go. Turn
Now
it.
throw it around the mark and head back upwards for the penultimate leg in race number 2.
My rake.
And roll it into a tack on port
Release
tack,
the chip.
coming up the starboard tack boat.
Rossi.
In comes Emirates Team New Zealand. 25 seconds at the top gate. 24 seconds at the 4th gate. So, a bit like the last race, almost a deja vu moment. Nothing in this, but roles reversed. One is now the chaser.
5 left, 5 right,
One is the
5 to the
hunter.
1.
Kenny, I find it interesting they ran straight into attack there as opposed to sailing towards this boundary and waiting for Team New Zealand to make a decision on what to do.
We saw the Kiwis do this a little bit in race 1 and kind of questioned it a little bit. I guess maybe there's a little heart in throat moment for Italian fans. What do they see? What do they see out there, Lee? Do they see just better pressure on the right-hand side? Is it that obvious, or did they make a little mistake here?
I mean, there's nothing obvious wind-wise. I think, I don't know if they were hedging that the Kiwis maybe weren't on lay and were going to split the other way, because they've kind of certainly given them a bit of room now to kind of sail their own leg here for a bit. So I'm not sure they would have really wanted to run that.
Sure enough, we look at
a
bit, Shirley.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe it looks pretty even up here.
That little mistake was made after all.
5, 3, 2, 1, hold down.
I think we lost Shirley for a moment out on the water.
But Kenny, I think you're right. Like, they've now done attack. 3 tacks to 1 tack. You know, each tack's going to lose you 50 metres.
Yep.
So that's why the lead's shrunk again.
Blink of an eye, 430 metres coming down with upwind suddenly we're at 170 metres.
And by the way, we're talking about one boat may or may not be faster than the other. I think the big difference is that one boat may not be fast enough to overcome a big mistake, right? We still don't know who the quicker boat is here, right? Especially in this condition and other conditions. But it sure appears that if you get ahead and just make the right moves, the other boat doesn't have that dominant performance ability just to sail around you.
3, 2, 1, hold down.
So this is the penultimate leg of race number 2 on the opening day of the match for the 36th America's Cup. Race 1, Emirates Team New Zealand, who are now trailing Rossa, Prada, Pirelli in the second showdown. And they're going to try to hunt them down. They really are the hunter right here.
Go in here. Stand by, boys. 3, 2, 1, hold down.
I'm guessing they go back, like we were talking about, they go back around that leeward mark and said, maybe we got a little cute. Maybe that tack right around the leeward mark got a little cute. We could have spread the race course out a bit and been a little more controlling.
I think you're spot on. I think initially, you know, they're probably thinking they're not laying, so we'll be smart and we'll do the tack on the mark because they're going to have to jive and we'll be on their face. Turns out that they got a little bit too smart and they gave up a bit of did a few extra manoeuvres, but they're still in front, 200 metres in front. I don't think anyone's panicking right now. They're definitely not giving him a chance, that's for sure. Once they get in phase, they keep him in phase there.
This must be an incredibly frustrating position to be in for Emirates Team New Zealand. You're seeing yourself close up with the boat in front just playing the game. You can't do anything about it because of similar speeds at this point.
Definitely. The boats are pretty evenly matched. And right now we've seen 2 mistakes today. One from Jimmy Spittle and Rossa in the first start, and one from Peter Burling in the second start. This is what the end result is. It's a game of mistakes, and if you don't make mistakes, you win. If you make mistakes, you're going to lose.
Rossa, Prada, Pirelli, the gap is closed. Emirates Team New Zealand are trying to hunt them down with 1 leg to go. But they haven't been headed in this race so far. The official challenger record. These are the 2 teams that designed these magnificent
you start us, Kicker. Be a little softer out of this.
And the gap will have closed. Rossa, Prada, Pirelli head on the final leg downward, leg number 6 in race 2 of the match.
5 away, 3,
It was 24
2,
seconds.
1, way to go.
It's 50% gain.
If there's anything light there, have to get out of here. Not great, yeah, but
They're going to have to do something surely, aren't they? They're not going to just drag race this one down.
No, and I think, you know, the Italians lost half their lead by just sailing their own race and cruising to the favourite side, so they're not going to let them go again, that's for sure.
Yeah, he drives it now, it's fine into it. Nice pressure on the bow.
Lee, kind of final call from you're the tactician on the Kiwi boat right now. Is there any magic wand, any magic bullet out there that gets you by?
At the moment.
They're in a good bit of pressure right now, so they did the right thing there, driving. There's a little bit of a funnel almost down the middle of the boat, looking at it. But I mean, Prada, I think, have really got to slip up here for it to go back to Emirates Team New Zealand's way. Other than that one tack at the bottom, they did a really good job of just down beats, like Nathan said, the downwinds are all about setting up the next beat. You've got to try and find your opportunities in those upwinds. So Prada did a fantastic job of really shutting that down. That one good mark, really.
Copy low.
Stand by, boys. 3, 2, 1, 4 down. Done.
My runner.
What's interesting to me,
my
Nathan, as they're coming in towards the finish line, 1,500 meters to go in the race, pretty small lead. It's not a big lead, but how slowly they're now pulling these boards out of the water. They used to be really aggressive with pulling the old board out of the water. Now they're doing it slower and slower.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I guess the slower those boards come up, the smoother it is. But let's just follow this into the race. We can analyse the manoeuvres a little bit later. I feel like it's getting a bit closer and a bit tighter. And if you're an Italian fan right now, you might be starting to want to hold your breath a little bit, as you can feel Team New Zealand breathing down their neck a little bit more.
Under 1,000 metres to go to the finish. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli coming under pressure from the defender.
Carries on.
They led all the way
3,
from the start.
2, 1.
One would suspect in this second race,
My rake, my trap.
Yes.
maybe they'll run out of race course, Emirates Team New Zealand. Look at that.
They didn't make it easy.
100 metres.
They didn't make it easy, though.
Nice one, boys.
Prada
Nice one.
Pirelli.
We can do this.
By 31 seconds.
I can't say,
race
boys.
number 1 of the
Bye.
match.
Ho, ho, ho.
This
That's a
time
good
you
one,
can
Jimmy.
hear the quiet satisfaction.
Bravo.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli take
I'm proud
out
of you.
race 2 of the match,
Thank you.
and we are all tied up
Hey.
at 1-1.
1, push him down.
7 seconds the gap. That's a race.
So slow match.
Nathan, I think it's relief on board this boat as much as anything right now. That was as much cheering as we've
Party there
seen
for
when
the
anybody has
tow
won a
line.
race on board the Luna Rossa. I think they're just relieved
Just get ready to spin
that
up.
maybe the
We'll come
rumors
with you,
weren't true,
Faraday.
that they do
Okay,
have a
boys,
boat that
turning.
can
Here we
actually
go.
win races in this event.
Yeah, relief is a great word. They won all. Like, that's a fantastic outcome for the challenger. You know, normally the defender you think has a little bit of an advantage. If you can go 1-1 on day 1, and as Philippe Presti was saying, it's a day to see where you stack up against your competition. Well, not much in it. It's all about how well you start, how well you sail, and it seems like if you can start well, you control the race. And that'd be a huge confidence booster for Luna Rossa and all Italian fans right now. They'd be very happy with today.
So if you were Emirates Team New Zealand and the furthest behind was 25 seconds, but you came home strong and you miss out by 7 seconds, you must gain something from that. There must be learnings from that.
Oh, of course, they're learning from every minute they spend on the race course against another boat. But you also learn that our boat is not going to be fast enough to sail around a mistake. And that's what they made at the beginning of the race. They made a mistake, one mistake that ended up costing them, and that other boat ain't slow.
Confirmation now of the result in race number 2 of the 36th America's Cup match, and Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli square the ledger up. They win by 7 seconds ahead of the defender Emirates Team New Zealand.